Hey everyone, so hopefully season 1 for Go Battle League is going well for you all, and if you're having trouble finding a team that works for you, I have a team that has worked really well for me. I went on a 26 win streak with this team. In addition to that, out of 64 matches I've used this team with so far, I won 58 out of those matches, I lost 5 of them, and I tied in 1. So this team is super consistent. I gained a total of 469 battle rating points, or MMR, or ELO points, however you want to define it, but essentially the points that help you move up in rank. So today I'm going to showcase all my matches on my win streak, as well as the match where I lost the streak on. All the clips are sped up a little more than usual, just so that we can get through it without sitting here for like an hour. So the team consists of Skarmory, Shiftry, and Meganium, and almost no one would probably predict a double grass team. I'll show the movesets on screen right now, and I'll kind of talk through the strategy as I'm going through the matches and show you how it worked out. So pretty much the main reason why I lead with Skarmory every time is because I want to catch their flyer, and so if it's another Skarmory or Altaria, I could win the mirror or beat Altaria in that situation. If the opening Pokemon is not opposing flyer, then I will safe switch Shiftry every single time. And so right here, you can see it's Deoxys Defense. That's actually a bad matchup for Skarmory in general anyway. I know Meganium has a solid matchup against Deoxys Defense. And Shiftry, it's not the best just because it takes super effective damage from the counters. The main thing with Shiftry is that because it generates energy so quickly, it actually could put a ton of shield pressure on opposing Regiseals. And at this point, even though I lost switch priority, shields are down. And so my guess is he probably has a water use in the back. A lot of people like to bring Azumarill, Whiscash, Swampert, stuff like that. And so knowing that I have a pretty positive matchup in that scenario, I'm going to bring in Meganium, and as you can see, Azumarill's in the back. So you'll see in these matches, a lot of these teams are pretty predictable, and that's kind of why I like to go anti-meta a lot of times, because you can predict a lot of times what your opponents have just based off of how they play the matchup. And so I knew that he probably had a water Pokemon in the back after he brought in Deoxys Defense into my Meganium. Even though Deoxys Defense has a better matchup against Skarmory, he knows that he can't risk matching Azumarill up. So that was the first matchup, and you'll see that in this one, again, it's not a flyer, so I want to bring in Shiftry in case that he has Altaria or Skarmory in the back. This person actually brought in Whiscash, which I think was probably a mistake on their end, because Whiscash gets one shot by one Leaf Blade. And so I'm going to shield right here. If it's a Mud Bomb, no big deal, because I know I can get to another Razor Leaf, but if it's not, and it's a Blizzard, I shielded properly, and because I did, I know that he couldn't get to another Blizzard in time, so I farmed up a little extra energy with some Snarls. And then my opponent goes in with Sceptile. So Sceptile is actually kind of tricky for my team to deal with, because it does super effective damage against both Meganium and Shiftry. But at this point, I believe my opponent quits the match knowing that they can't come back from it. You actually see a lot of opponents in this series of wins will actually quit the match before it's over, and I think it's because they see that second grass Pokemon that they don't anticipate, and they have a Whiscash or Swampert or Azumarill in the back, and they're like, there's no way they can win this. A lot of people like to lead with their flyers, and that's actually a perfect situation for me. Main thing is I want to maintain switch priority right here. I want to make sure that my remaining Pokemon doesn't have to go against Altaria, because taking just a bunch of Dragon Breaths from Altaria is not fun. And so I'm going to Master Shield in that situation, and Skarmory wins that every time. And so right here, I'm going to go in with Flash Cannon. What I really should have done, it just went straight for Shiftry anyway, because now my opponent farmed quite a bit of energy off of me, and so now I'm going to have to tank probably... Oh, it was actually a Focus Blast, which is interesting. I would imagine that it was going to be a Flash Cannon. But either way, now they have enough for another Flash Cannon, so it puts me in a kind of a tricky spot. I'm just hoping that my opponent has a Grass Pokemon in the back. And so luckily, they were able to get baited with a Frenzy Plant. And then I'm going to go... And it is actually a Whiscash. And so so my opponent probably thinks once they take out the Meganium, easy peasy. But actually, I got Shiftry in the back, able to one-shot it with the Leaf Blade and take it out. So this is the third match in my win streak of 26. As you can see, as the matches progress, I start playing a little smarter. In that situation, I could have just safe swapped Shiftry and lost switch advantage right there against the Regiseal. It's not a big deal, because if you had a water Pokemon back, they can't do anything about it anyway. Interesting enough, my opponent goes with Play Rough right here. My guess is they don't have an Ice Beam Azumarill, and my opponent's going to probably come back in here with Altaria. That's totally fine, just because I still have Shiftry in the back. And so the tricky part is they might have Registeel in the back, in all likelihood. You know, Altaria, Azumarill, Registeel, very common line in Go Battle League. Very strong lineup in Go Battle League as well. I'm going to tank this Sky Attack because I know I can tank it pretty well. I just need to get rid of this Altaria because Shiftry with shields against Registeel is actually really strong. And so, again, I don't need a shield. It's actually a Swampert, even better in this situation because no matter what they do, there's no way that they could get to... they'll probably pretty much need Sludge Waves to take me out. There's no way they can get to multiple Sludge Waves in time. I'm just going to match shields at this point because... you know, I don't want to, I'm not here to gamble or anything at this point. I wasn't counting, but I know that no matter what, there's no way they can get to a Sludge Wave in time, even if they're running it. And then here against Altaria, Shiftry does quite a bit of damage even when it's resisted damage, like Leaf Blade, and Altaria was really low on health too. So yeah, some of these matches are going to be a little repetitive at times just because a lot of people bring the same thing. So, Melmetal, not a great situation for my Skarmory, but also Medichamp's actually a pretty solid counter against Shiftry just because of the counter damage, and it's on the bulkier side, so it could take a couple Leaf Blades. And so right here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to farm it down with Skarmory, and then my guess is that my opponent doesn't have a flyer because they probably wouldn't have brought in Medicham if that was the case. And I'm gonna try to go for a Flash Cannon right here, expecting it to be Melmetal, and of course it is. And then I'm gonna go straight switch into my Meganium. Actually, my opponent ends up dumping their energy on me. That's actually fine because I don't really need the Skarmory anymore, unless this person has a flyer in the back, which is unlikely at this point. I'm gonna shield this because the main reason is because I don't want to. Yeah, don't want to be super powered because it could still do quite a bit of damage, and I have a shield advantage anyway at that time. And so I'm going to shield this, and then even though Frost Dust does super effective damage to Avalanche, it does not resist grass damage, and Frenzy Plant hits really hard, and Frost Dust is really glassy too. So able to take that matchup. Definitely a little switch from the usual lineups, which is totally fine. Again, if it's not a flyer in the opening, the only other situation where I wouldn't swap out is if it's a Charmer, so like... Clefable, Wigglytuff, stuff like that, Togekiss, because those are also things that Shiftry and Meganium would struggle against. Opponent goes with Foul Play right here, which is interesting. Foul Play is definitely not the ideal move just because it's resisted by Shiftry, although Shiftry is a little bit on the glassier end. But because of this, my opponent's probably going to have to expend some shields or lose switch priority right here. And so at this point, I'm going to use a shield just because they already used one. And then now I can farm up some energy and then hit the next thing with Leaf Blade. And so it turns out to be a Jirachi. Had I actually been able to use a Foul Play, that would have done a ton of damage. But they don't shield twice, which is kind of interesting. And then so I'm just going to go in with my Skarmory just because it's going to resist all the charge moves from Jirachi. And I'm just going to, I think I try to farm down at this point. Or actually I end up pressing Sky Attack, which is fine. And then it's a Azumarill. I think I saw Azumarill in the first place, actually, to begin with. But again, I have Meganium. Meganium's able to beat Azumarill on even shields. It could tank an Ice Beam even if it is an Ice Beam, but I also have a shield too, and they're not going to be able to get to another Ice Beam before I get to this Frenzy Plant. And yeah, so let's be able to take that. So almost... I'm trying to think if there's very few opponents I've seen that don't bring any water types, and if they bring a Whiscash or Swampert into your team, they pretty much can't do anything because there's nothing really on my team that's weak against it. Skarmory is much better against the Swampert. The Whiscash matchup. It's worse against Swamperts, but it's better against Whiscash. I usually saw more Whiscash than Swamperts just because a lot of people like Whiscash because it has Blizzard potential to take out Altaria, and it's more bulky than Swampert. But either way, even if it's Swampert, you know, there's still two grass it has to deal with. Lucario is interesting too because this is going to do quite a bit of damage, and just from the counter damage. Bait me properly with Power Punch, and so I'm just going straight with the Frenzy Plant. And then at this point, I'm hoping it's not a Shadow Ball, and it isn't, which is good. And then now I can take it out with a Frenzy Plant. And then I'm trying to think I can't remember what opponent had in the back. Yeah, okay, so I go in quickly with the Skarmory because I want to take out the Ivysaur. And at this point, because I was going to take out the Umbreon, there's really nothing this Ivysaur can do against my Skarmory, just because Skarmory is a hard wall to all the grass and all the poison moves. Yeah, Lucario definitely a different Pokemon for sure, but it's good to see some variety there. Again, Sableye, actually not a bad situation for me to switch into. I think what I want to do is I want to draw a charge move first, and then I'm going to switch into Shiftry. Shiftry resists the ghost damage from Sableye, and then they end up switching into Haunter. Now, the thing with Haunter is you shouldn't ever drop Foul Place against Haunter, because Haunter's so glassy and most Haunters will shield anyway. And because you could resist the ghost damage from Haunter, you don't really need to shield the first move. At this point, I'm going to shield just because if it's Shadow Ball or even Shadow Punch will put me pretty low. And then now I do 1 or 2 extra snarls just to get some additional energy. And then, like I said, it's resisted, that it resists Leaf Blade, but it's still going to do quite a bit of damage. And then my guess is they have a Water type in the back, which they do. I have Shiftry. And now I'm going to switch quickly to Meganium so they don't farm me with any bubbles on my Shiftry, because I wasn't able to get to another Leaf Blade in time. And then now I'm going to be able to take out the Cyndaquil. So again, people don't expect double grass, and that's what really ends up hurting them. Going against Lemon Lime, a very great player from California. And so I knew this was going to definitely be a tough matchup for sure. And so here's the thing with Shiftry. I don't know if this happened in other matches yet, but when you save switch Shiftry, if they bring out Altaria or Skarmory or Charizard even, the foul plays do quite a bit of damage, and you'll almost always force a shield on the second foul play. So you can almost consider just going straight for Leaf Blade, but honestly, I'm okay with just not taking the gamble, going double foul play, and they either don't shield or you're up a shield advantage. And so again, I'm up with shields. I don't have switch priority, so it's going to bring in Melmetal, and at this point, I'm going to go in with, I'm going to take the move and go in with Meganium. So right here, I'm going to go in with my Meganium and just hit it with Frenzy Plants, and of course, my opponent doesn't shield. So I shield that just in case of superpower. This is a tricky situation too, because Meganium on Meganium is just, you just throw Frenzy Plants at each other, and that Melmetal back still has a decent amount of life. So what I'm trying to do right here is I'm going to shield this, and then I'm going to bring in my Skarmory, because now I have enough energy to use a Sky Attack. My opponent probably has a shield, and so he's going to, and then I'm going to hit him with a Frenzy Plant as soon as possible. Now, here's the thing. I think he actually had a little bit of lag on his end too. So I don't know if he had a Frenzy Plant ready, but my IVs on my Meganium are actually really, really bad. They're like 15 attack, just because it was like right when PvP dropped. And then, well, I didn't notice at the time too until it was too late, but my opponent wasn't able to, was lagging a little bit there too. So don't know if I would have won that without the lag, but because I did, the streak continues. So here we go. So Skarmory against Altaria. Again, Skarmory is the more superior flyer in this matchup. So I'm going to match shields if they do decide to shield. If they don't, I'm going to win switch priority and then be able to take out the flyer. Usually, I would say almost like 100% of the time now I think about it, if you can match up with their flyer right off the opening matchup and take it out, your likelihood of winning the match is through the roof. Because there isn't really a lot of hard counters to Shiftry and Meganium besides flyers. Bastion's actually kind of a pain because Bastion's so tanky. And I'm going to tank the first Flamethrower because I know I could. And then I'm going to go try to bait with a Frenzy Plant. And my opponent does shield. So now I'm going to go in with the Earthquake. And this should be able to near one-shot the Bastion. Yeah, it does one-shot it. And then, of course, people, think they're done with the grass, but Shiftry comes in and cleans up the Whiscash real quick. I would say two of the biggest threats that you won't probably see in this video that are a threat to this team is Alolan Marowak, which isn't the worst case scenario because it can't take Sky Attacks that easily from Skarmory, even though it's going to do super effective damage with the Fire Spins from Alolan Marowak. And then also, Shiftry does decent against Alolan Marowak because it resists both of Alolan Marowak's charge moves. It just doesn't resist the fast move. So it'll chunk it down over time, but you still be able to do quite a bit of damage. Meganium is just not a great matchup against Alolan Marowak in general, unless you land an Earthquake, which is going to be kind of hard. But I would say Alolan Marowak is probably the second top threat against this team. And the biggest threat, in my opinion, I've only seen this once in one of my matches after my 26 win streak, is Fire Fang Mawile. You won't see that very often in the meta in general, but it actually, I think it resists all the moves on my team. Yeah, it does, because it has fairy typing, so it resists dark types. It has steel, so it resists grass types. The only move it doesn't resist on my entire team combined is Meganium's Earthquake, because it's going to resist the sky attacks from Skarmory as well as the flash cannons from Skarmory too. And so if someone is leading with Mawile in the lead with Fire Fang, which most people tend to lead with, just because you have shield advantage at that point, and they double shield their Mawile, it's actually very hard to deal with. But how many Fire Fang Mawiles have you all seen in Go Battle League? Probably not a lot. So that's why this team is pretty solid against what you'll commonly see. So again, leading, it's actually pretty shocking how many people lead Flyers, but it's perfect for me just because I know that, and this person actually shields. So at this point, I'm going to match their shields because I can't lose this matchup. So they double shield actually now. So this is actually a good example of why you probably shouldn't double shield Altaria versus Skarmory. You're not going to win the matchup anyway, and you're just going to be down a shield. So as you can see right here, they lose that matchup, and I have a shield coming out of it. So I'm going to bring in Meganium. The reason why I bring Meganium over Shiftry first is because Meganium could tank Ice Beam, and Shiftry you're going to have to probably use a shield on it. So I'm going to save that shield for my Shiftry, just because if it's not a great matchup in the end, like for some reason if they're running another Flyer, Shiftry with a shield can actually do quite a bit of damage. My opponent quits right there. My guess is they might have had Wish Cash in the back, or maybe even Registeel. But even Registeel wouldn't be enough because I have a shield advantage, and so they decided to finish that matchup off. A shield right there, thinking that might have been a last resort. I'm not really sure why my opponent swapped Azumarill into Shiftry, but that's fine with me. I think some people aren't familiar with Shiftry's energy generation, how fast you get energy to. So I'm going to shield right here. I'm going to farm a little bit more because I know they can't get to Ice Beam fast enough. Or maybe I don't farm a little more. That's fine too. But yeah, so I have switch advantage, and I'm thinking their best counter to my grass in their mind is Azumarill. In my mind is Umbreon, but either way, not great. So no matter what's in the back, my Meganium should have a pretty open path to be able to take it out. And my guess is that it's probably another water. And so it's probably Wish Cash, actually, now that I think about it. So I'm going to bring in this Skarmory. I'm going to absorb this Foul Play. Still got plenty of health left. And let's see what it is. So this is interesting. It's actually a Latios, which makes sense, actually, because Shiftry does super effective damage against Latios because of Psychic typing. And then I don't know if they just didn't have Thunder on it or not, but Skarmory has a decent matchup against Latias as well because it resists Dragon Breaths. First Latias I've seen in Go Battle League for sure, so definitely interesting. Again, people like to lead Flyers, so I'm going to try to win this matchup right here. I don't think this happened in this set of 26 matches, but there was. So again, I'm going to switch quickly into Meganium against Azumarill. Not going to shield the first thing, and it's play rough, so even better because now I know they don't have Ice Beam on it, so they won't be able to get to their next charge move very quickly. I'm going to just throw in another Frenzy Plant. They either double shield right here, which they do, which is kind of interesting. So they're not going to win this matchup anyway, so now they're just going to be down a shield, and I'll still have switch priority. So not the best idea on their end, but my guess is they're definitely fearful of this Meganium for some reason. I'm going to let this Meganium go because they're scared of grass, but I still have a Shiftry in the back. I still have my own Skarmory, and I farmed a little bit of energy on this Altaria. So it's actually Deoxys Defense. I'm going to soften up a little bit and go straight for probably Foul Play right here. And so pretty much all the moves that, besides Rock Slide, that Deoxys Defense throws at Shiftry would be resisted, Psycho Boost and Thunderbolt. My guess is he probably had Psycho Boost if that was the move they're throwing. But anyway, so yeah, it's weak to the counter damage, but it's still going to be able to do quite a bit of damage before you get counter down. Again, this opponent threw a Foul Play, which is interesting. I usually don't expect it on the first move, but some people might just not have Last Resort Umbreon. I can't remember if this is the opponent that keeps throwing Foul Plays or not, but yeah, some kind of lag. Oh, that was some major lag on my end. So I actually end up throwing a Leaf Blade. It does like pretty much no damage, and I have to throw in like a fourth Leaf Blade. I don't know if my opponent was generating energy or not either, but that was kind of unfortunate right there. So yeah, my opponent actually does have Last Resort. So kind of unfortunate there that there's some lag. At this point, I was thinking like, ooh, I might be losing my streak right here, but we'll see. They erroneously used Last Resort in that situation. And so right here, I'm going to tank the move. Unfortunately, it's Focus Blast, so it does even more damage than Flash Cannon, I think. But they do go for the Frenzy Plant bait. And so now I kind of have a clear path to go straight for Earthquake. I'm actually surprised they went Focus Blast twice. I'm wondering if it's maybe just be a single move Registeel. And then right here, I go quickly switch into Skarmory. And the reason is because I thought they had a Water in back, so I want to keep my Meganium alive. Turns out it's actually a Clefable, and so that ended up working out pretty well for me. So kind of a dicey matchup right there, but I was able to pull it out. And then right here, I go Safe Switch Shiftry. And the reason why I Safe Switch Shiftry into Azumarill is because it has a worse matchup against Azumarill. Most players will swap out Azumarill in that situation, so that's why it's actually not a bad situation for me. Because I know Meganium has a better matchup, if that makes sense, right? Because I know I said earlier that Meganium has a better matchup against Azumarill, and that's why I purposely put my Shiftry into their Azumarill, because when they can still switch out, they're probably going to switch out. And also, Shiftry has a pretty solid matchup against Registeel, as you can see. Especially with some bait games and stuff, you could really do quite a bit of damage to Registeel right there. And so this is actually a good situation for me because I have Skarmory, and then my opponent's probably going to bring in Azumarill. Even better that they're using their energy now, because now they have neutral energy on the Ice Beam. And like I said, even with a shield disadvantage, Meganium can overcome this because you can survive the Ice Beam. And so I could throw in another Frenzy Plant even if he shields. And so this opponent's going to shield, and then pretty much that leaves me with a Meganium with a little bit of health left, as well as a full health Skarmory. And opponent decides to quit after that, which I think makes sense because there's really no way for them to come back from it. So Registeel lead, a little trickier because they'll have a slight energy advantage too when they're farming up a little bit. And so I do shield right there. And now this is kind of interesting. They don't switch out. And so what I'm thinking right here is they probably have double water in the back, probably Whiscash and Azumarill or Swampert Azumarill. Maybe they have a ghost type like Haunter or something in the back. So they end up switching in their Azumarill at this point. Kind of an interesting idea. But then now I'm going to go with my Meganium. And they probably don't expect Meganium to be there, and they're thinking, oh, they shield once, they're going to have enough to hit me with the Ice Beam and take me out. But now they're stuck with Meganium matchup, which is not ideal, and I'm going to have to farm down this Azumarill. And then my guess is they're going to bring in the Registeel. I have enough for Earthquake. And then let's see what the third Pokemon is. My guess is probably a water type. Oh, it's actually a Haunter, right? And that makes sense given what I said earlier about Haunter. And then so I'm going to go straight in here with Leaf Blade. And as you can see, Leaf Blade does a ton of damage, right? And I went for Leaf Blade because I wasn't sure if I could get off in time. And then I was able to finish off with Skarmory. But yeah, so even though Leaf Blade is resisted, it's going to do quite a bit of damage. So in that situation, Foul Play is better, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get to in time, and so I would want to play that risk. Right here, so Drifblim, interesting Pokemon. Didn't expect this. I know Icy Wind's not going to be enough to KO me, but it's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. I'm going with the Foul Play this time around. They did a quick switch on me, which is why I was, wasn't able to get to that Foul Play the first time around. And now I'm going to get to another Foul Play though in time because Drifblim has Hex as a fast move, so it's resisted by by Shiftry, which is why I was able to get so many charge moves off. At this point, I figured that they have either Icy Wind or Ominous Wind, so it's not going to be enough to threaten whatever I'm doing. And I'm going to I think I'm probably going to try to switch out. Actually, no, I do go in for the Sky Attack. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Low on health, but Vigoroth is actually not a great matchup against Meganium, so I do want to soften it up as much as possible, and I believe I go for a switch at this point. Yeah, I do, just so that they don't farm me down. And then at this point, I'm not going to shield because, or I do shield. Oh, interesting. I don't know why. I guess I was feeling confident. Oh yeah, right, because they have a Linoon. I was feeling confident I could take that matchup, and that's definitely the case because all these moves are going to be resisted, like except for Dig. Oh no, even Dig is resisted. So yeah, right, because grass typing. So yeah, not easy matchup for me to handle right there. Interesting, probably one of the first Linoons I've seen too. Again, flyer on flyer matchup. Great situation for me. Anytime I see this, I'm like, I probably got this matchup in the back, unless they have like a Alola Marowak or something strange like that, but I don't think that's ever come up in that situation. You'll see that a lot of people actually don't run Alola Marowak as well, which is why I feel pretty confident in this team. And the reason I say that is because what do you see most common in the meta? You see Altaria and you see Azumarill, and both of them have pretty good matchups against Alolan Marowak. Alolan Marowak, with Altaria, you pretty much don't even need to shield unless they double shield your Altaria. I don't even think it could get to. I wonder if it could even survive that many Dragon Breaths. But so it's because Altaria is going to resist all that Fire Spin damage, and the Shadow Ball's not going to be enough to take out Altaria. You can take it out pretty quickly. So you're not actually going to see a bunch of Alolan Marowak in general, which is why this makes this team even better. Who knows? Maybe more people make Alolan Marowaks if this team catches on. It's going to catch people off. If that's the case, that's fine with me. But yeah. So again, going to go quick into the switch, and then now I feel pretty comfortable because I have an energy advantage. And towards the end right here, I start picking up on things, which is a lot of people tend to shield the second foul play from Shiftry. They didn't in this situation, but it depends on their life too, right? Now I could bait with Leaf Blade because they're probably going to shield this one. And they do. And then I shield again. I'm going to match the shield. I'm going to farm a little bit extra. And then they end up going with their own Shiftry. And then so I throw in a quick Leaf Blade. Not a bad idea because, as you saw earlier, Shiftry with energy can do quite a bit of damage. I'm not going to shield right here because I know that I can survive it. With silver health was kind of a CMP tie, so I just let the bubbles go, but it doesn't matter, it's low on health anyway. And they go in Registeel. Trying to think if I have energy on the Shiftry is probably what I'm thinking, and I do. So I'm going to go in with another Leaf Blade, see if they shield or not. And they do shield, and then I'll try to make a quick switch to Meganium. The main reason is because Meganium could tank a Focus Blast, or Flash Cannon. But this is actually not a bad situation for me now, too, because I was using to farm a little extra, and now I have Frenzy Plants. And again, people like to have a Azumarill in the back, and we all know how this matchup plays out, but I feel like we've seen it like over 20 times in this video already. Like I said, some of these matchups get a little repetitive, but that's because the meta is predictable. And this is why I always advocate for going against the meta versus using the meta. Meta is very strong for the most part, but if you pick the right team to counter what's popular, and it has very consistent matchups, it can be very good. And so, Shiftry very good against Alolan Raichu as well. And I don't know if my opponent misswitched on that or not. Actually, no, I think they meant to because they're trying to catch my Skarmory, but then they just realized it was over, so they end up quitting that one. So, short match, but is what it is. This opponent is actually using Steel Wing Skarmory. Do not recommend it. I do not recommend it. Its energy generation is not as great. I think it does a little more damage than Air Slash, but at the end of the day, you're going to be losing to Sky Attacks, not Steel Wings or Air Slashes. So, I feel pretty comfortable in this mirror. I'm going to shield this just because even if they shield my attack, I know that I can get to another Sky Attack comfortably. And they don't shield, interesting enough. And then so, I believe they're going with Zuma right here. A little lag, unfortunately, I couldn't get off the Sky Attack. I'm going to tank this Ice Beam. It's actually a Hydro Pump, very interesting. And then they switch into Whiscash, even more interesting. Not really sure what that's about. And it's a Water Gun Whiscash. Do not recommend Water Gun Whiscash. Just mainly because Mud Shots do so much more damage. And look, I can even farm it down without even having to worry about it getting to another charge move because Water Gun does not generate energy as fast. And look how much energy I was able to farm off of that. So definitely don't recommend Water Gun. And then, of course, they think they're done with the grass, but nope. Still got Shiftry, and then I also have a shield advantage at this point, so very comfortable lead with that. So yeah, that was kind of a weird team in general. So Metacham, not like I said, not the best matchup against my team, but the fact that I caught it in lead, not bad. And so I can't switch Shiftry into this, and at this point I'm committed because I know that they're probably going to shield, and now they bring in Skarmory. Now this is a weird decision, you're going to think, but I have a shield advantage and I need to chip down the Skarmory, and I kind of rather have this matchup than have this go against the Metacham later. And so that's why I actually end up, kind of odd to switch in a Shiftry into a Skarmory, but in my opinion, in this situation, it actually made the most amount of sense. And so I leave losing switch advantage, but I do have a shield up. And then my opponent goes in with Alolan Raichu right there. And I'm going to shield because Ice Punch. Alolan Raichu can't really threaten me with much. And then they go in with another move. I know that this can't be, won't be able to KO me. Kind of risky right there. But Yeah, maybe I should have just done a charge move right there, but I really want to take out that lone Raichu in one shot, so I go for it. Frenzy Plant probably would have been enough too, actually, now I think about it. Played a little risky, but worked out. Again, the Flyer Mirror, or Flyer head-to-head in this situation. Okay, so I can't remember if I finished my train of thought earlier on this or not, but there was one matchup where I actually ended up losing to Altaria with Skarmory. I don't know if there was a super attack weight or what, because I matched their shields and still lost, which is interesting. And they didn't throw like a Dragon Pulse or anything, so but in most situations that's not the case. Couldn't get the sky attack off in time. And the reason is because this is actually a bite muck, and so I had a decent amount of health left on Skarmory, so I'm thinking not anything's going to be able to take me out fast enough, so I could just, you know, wait to see what it is. And it's an Acid Spray bite muck, so this is kind of a tricky situation just in general. But I know that Shiftry can get to moves pretty quickly, so I'm just gonna go in and get to another Leaf Blade in time. Bite does not generate enough energy, but Bite with Acid Spray does quite a bit of damage. And then again, probably not anticipating this, and then they quit the matchup because they know that's over by then. Bite Muck, definitely one of the more interesting Pokemon to face. Going in right there, totally okay. I know the Wish Cast is in the back and my game can handle it. And then now I'm gonna drop 2 Foul Plays. My guess is they shield this one. And they do. But the main thing is, I think it's still worth it because they end up expending their energy on Sky Attacks almost always because they don't want to deal with another Foul Play. And now that puts Meganium in a pretty solid situation, or not Meganium, Skarmory in a pretty solid situation because I'm going to take very minimal damage from this Flyer. And then right here, I'm not going to show what it is. My guess is probably, I thought it was going to be Blizzard, so I do a quick switch. But it wasn't, it was Mud Bomb. So I'm going to switch, I'm going to shield right here, thinking this might be Blizzard. Nope, also Mud Bomb. That's fine. So I'm going to just throw them Frenzy Blade. And then they shield again, so I'm thinking this has got to be Blizzard. And nope, Mud Bomb again. But I know they can't get to enough anything else. I have pretty much a full energy, or not full energy, but decent energy lead on Meganium. They quit, so my guess is they probably had Zumaro or Steel type or something, but either way. Okay, so like I said, Alola Marowak, not a great situation, but I could still potentially win this one. And so I end up kind of making a mistake. I should have probably went for Sky Attack, and I pressed it too late, and now I'm matched up with their Skarmory. So again, I'm thinking, I don't know, should I switch out or should I just stay in? And I'm thinking maybe I should stay in. I don't know if I should switch to Shiftry or not. Shiftry has, like I said, decent matchup against Alola Marowak because you can get to... Foul Plays can hurt it, and also just the Snarl damage will do super effective damage, although it's not going to be a ton. They had 2 back-to-back Sky Attacks, and I kind of had a feeling, but I still wanted to shield it because if I don't shield that, I'm going to have to shield against the Shiftry anyway. And then so I quickly go in with Shiftry, and then I'm going to go, I'm a little slow on the Leaf Blade. It's not enough to take me out, but does quite a bit of damage. And I think that might have been the nail in the coffin because I wasn't able to get to another one. So this is tricky too. The Meganium, I'm thinking, okay, I need to take out this Alola Marowak. 1 Frenzy Plant should be enough, and it's pretty much, and I'll see what to get another one. I'm thinking, okay, if it's a water type, great. Last thing I wanted to see was another Meganium. Not be able to do enough damage here. I'm going to go, so I'm thinking, what I'm trying to do is swap quickly to Skarmory, but what I'm realizing is they overcharge quite a bit. So they go in Frenzy Plant right there, and then my guess is they have another Frenzy Plant ready, and they do. So this player played it really well, and unfortunately, that is the end of the streak. And so I ended my streak with 26 matches. As you can see, if you were counting, which I don't think anyone was, but if you were counting, there was only 25 matches right there that I won, and then 1 match I lost. And so one of my matches, my screen recording stopped midway or towards the end, so I wasn't able to show it. And these were battles for the most part in rank 9. I think some of the early ones are in rank 8. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was definitely a longer video, but I really think that this team can be really helpful for a lot of people as it was helpful for me. Best of luck on your Go Battle League adventures. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share. Feel free to tag me on Twitter if you end up using it and it's useful. Feel free to subscribe for future content, and I'll see you all next time.